teaching on in here for you guys is I am going to be teaching on indoor salad gardening, and we're going to teach on what a rotating pantry looks like for food storage purposes. So that's what I'm actually teaching here today. And you're seeing in progress what you're actually going to learn to do. And the really cool part is, see all those over there, guys? You're going home with your own. Okay? Now, indoor salad gardening, I'd love to say I'm the one who tested this, that I'm the one who came up with the idea. That would be a lie. Peter Burke gets all the credit. This book here, Indoor Salad Gardening, is an amazing book. I think it's only about 15 bucks. You can get it on Amazon. So if you guys want to actually get the book, you can get the book. I'm giving you the core components you can launch without the book based upon what I'm teaching you today, okay? By the way, these slides and this presentation will all be, so here's the book. Anyone who wants to get more information on that, go ahead and put it down there on that end. Anyone who wants more information or wants to look through the book, you can actually take a look through the book as well, okay? Actually, tell you what, I'm going to pass this around. You guys can just go ahead and take a look as I'm going through the presentation. You're going to learn everything you need without the book today to get started, okay? So this presentation and these slides, to include the video in a condensed form, so you don't get all my mess ups, will be on the radicalresilience.health website next week. So you can see the website right there. So don't hesitate to go in, download the slides, download the presentation, and you'll have everything you need. So, question number one. Why grow your own indoor garden? Why do we even need an indoor garden? I mean, come on, we just all go to the grocery store, right? GMOs, pesticides, and we even get to deal with something called a peel now, which is sprayed even on the organic produce at the grocery stores, other than Natural Grocers. Natural Grocers has made a commitment that they will never use a peel on their produce. Trader Joe's is not either. Okay, that's good news to hear as well. But Sprouts, Whole Foods, a lot of those places that we think would not are using a peel on their organic produce. And so if you see those videos out there where people are like squishing blueberries like they're plastic, okay? One of the biggest issues that we're already dealing with in the human body is the forever chemicals, all of the plastics that we're dealing with. Those are endocrine disruptors. It's part of the reason why our boys are acting like girls and our girls are starting menstrual cycles way too early. Okay? So we want to keep all that stuff out. So that's reason number one, so that you have control over your food supply. The other reason is this. If we have any disruptions, which look at what just happened in North Carolina. This works, even in spite of something like North Carolina, assuming your house is at least still there, okay? And you're not totally wiped out. But let's say you lost electricity for a month. This still works. You don't have to have electricity for this. All you need is sunshine. All you need is a window. It doesn't even have to be southern facing. It can be a northern facing windows, and we still get sprouts that look like that. These here have been going for less than a week, okay? This is day one, that's day two, and they've been going now a total of, well, let's see, those I started last Sunday, and those were started on Monday. They don't take long. Okay, so here in a couple of days we'll be ready to harvest. The other reason is the cost. It's $2 per pound to grow versus $25 to $50 per pound for microgreens. That's a huge price difference. The other thing that we look at there is the fact that 5 of these trays, planted daily when they come to maturity, makes a salad that is suitable for a family of 4. And the nutrient density in it is going to be far higher than anything you're going to find at the grocery store. Sprouts have the highest nutrition in their youngest stage, when they're in their young stage. It's kind of like your kids, how they drive you crazy when they're this tall because of all the energy they've got, and they're like zoom, 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 zoom. And then they grow up and they kind of slow down a little bit. Well, these are in the zoom, zoom, zoom phase. They got lots of energy, and that contributes to our energy. The other thing that is available that you guys also have the capability to do, this is just $20 on Amazon, okay? And literally, you just put the seeds in the trays, pour water over the top, once a day, switch, pour water over the top, switch, super easy to do. What is the key difference between what you are seeing here and what you are seeing here? Soil. These are strictly water. These are soil. Which one do you think is more nutrient dense? Exactly. I call it bottle-fed breast milk. The mycorrhizal activity of the soil, as designed by the Lord, adds a factor that we don't get no matter how much we calculate, no matter how much we try to make it perfect. There's a component that comes from the Lord. When we're dealing with healthy soil, healthy compost, healthy kelp, which is what this is right here. Yep. So we're going to have more nutrient density coming out of soil than we are out of a hydroponic system. Okay. That's not to say hydroponics can't be good. Hydroponics can be good. It probably, like if you look at Michael's system out there, that's going to be better than the majority of what you're going to see at the grocery store. In fact, I'm guaranteed it's probably better than anything you're going to find at the grocery store. It's not going to be better than you growing in soil yourself in your home. As you work your soil, as you nurture it. There's another key I just gave you right there. That's the secret sauce, guys. We were born to create. We were born to emulate our Creator. Some of the issues I'm coming across right now is we're constantly shortcutting things. We're constantly looking for convenience. In the process of seeking convenience and shortcuts all over the place, we are shortcutting the process of the interaction that we have with creation itself. We continue to separate ourselves from creation. I am very, very concerned about this. It's that disconnect from the cycles of life as the Lord created us to live that creates dis-ease, disease. So one of the things I want you guys to think about is the more things speed up, and I'm not saying don't use the conveniences, okay? I do it too. But I am saying, think about those areas that you're going to be intentional about, that you're going to create with the Creator. That can be something as simple as this, growing in soil. But you need to be creating. If you're not, you're going to find that you're going to slide into disease. Because we were all born to create. And so finding those gifts, those talents, and using them is going to be a critical component of how we serve. So growing in soil is our connection to the creation, agriculture, as well as spiritual growth. How many of you here think that the Bible is an agrarian book that actually tells us how to grow? You're right, it absolutely is. I actually did an entire presentation in DC to One Verse World with Jim Garlow in the Israeli contingency on just the fact that the Bible is an agrarian book. And all of the components in there that we learn as we're practicing those physical things, we're actually growing in the spiritual and the emotional as well. So when you look at Genesis, God formed Adam from the soil of the ground, breathing life into him. We literally came from soil. As we put our hands in the soil, as we work with people, as I did with the Wounded Warrior Farming Program when we built that for the Marine Corps, I watched God move on those men and women. I watched God heal as they were doing mundane tasks in the soil and in agriculture. When we stop participating in this process, we are robbing ourselves of relationship with the Lord. We all think we have to go into our private place and pray. Yes, absolutely we do. But Scripture says we are to pray unceasingly. That doesn't mean go in my prayer closet, pray, walk out the door, okay, I'm on with the rest of my day. It means my act of everything I do in my life is an act of worship. This is one small way you can start pulling this into your family lives. By the way, great thing to do with grandkids or kids. Because guess what? You're teaching them about life itself. This isn't just a biology lesson, it becomes a Bible lesson. The parable of the sower, hello. Plant in good soil. Look what happens. Oh, well, let's try planting some. Seriously, take 3 of these and do the parable of the sower. You do that with a child, they will remember that for the rest of their lives. And you want to know what the other part is? I don't like eating my greens. You know what happens when they grow up themselves? Oh, these are really good. These are techniques that we can pull back in very, very inexpensively. And certainly you can grow in prettier containers than these are. These are just get yourself started type stuff.
Now, where do you find your kelp? I don't find it.
Actually, you can find kelp on Amazon, but these came out of Azure. So one of the things I'm going to do is Janet will go ahead and pass these around to you guys. You guys can each have one of these from Azure. Everything, pretty much most of what you're seeing up here, I actually got from Azure. So like the seeds that we're using for the sprouting, and you guys are welcome to take photos of these. These are the seeds that are used. This is the product that you're seeing right in front of you. These all came out of Azure. And the seeds you guys are all going home with are the sunflower seeds. So those are going to look like these. Okay? Great question. So when we set this up, the way that it's recommended that you set it up is that you set up 2 containers. One is your seed box, one is your soil box. Okay? So literally you can get containers like this. And really what you're dealing with is your seed box is a clean box, your soil box is kind of a messy box. And it ends up having the dirt and the wet and the stuff like that in there. So in your soil box, one of the things you're going to find is you're going to put your soil in there. Okay? You're also going to have your compost in there, which, by the way, this compost smells really good. I know that sounds kind of weird, but yeah, it does smell really, really good. And these are just what you would have in each one of those boxes in order to fully grow your sprouts. You can look at what's there. This is very low cost, guys. And see these seeds here? That's probably a year's worth of seeds. Okay, 1 5-pound bag. So it's very, very doable from a cost standpoint. What's the other really great part about seeds? If you store them right, they don't go bad. The other part about seeds that's really great is you can literally grow these up into a full plant, let them go to seed, and you can harvest and store your own seed. That is the very definition of freedom. Right? In fact, some of us out there actually are kind of seed hoarders. And we are storing seeds so that we've got that available for people who grow much better than I do for when the time comes. I'll hand them the seed and I'll be like, you grow it, just give me some of the seeds that you get back out of it. So this is the instructions right here for how to do a quick start guide in 5 trays. You have this in your folders. Okay, so don't panic. You will find all the steps are in there for how to grow your 5 trays. Now, what you're going home with is a single tray, and you'll also see that you've got the directions for the single tray are actually in your kit over there. Okay? So I want to make sure that this was really super easy. There is one key difference between your seed tray over there and growing your 5 trays, besides more trays. The key difference is, in the interest of time and packaging small trays together, I purchased a potting soil that had organic kelp in it, as well as organic compost. It's already mixed in. The company that I got the soil from was on Amazon, and it's an organic Maine seed starting soil, and you can find that. And I want to say it was like $8 a bag. It was not very expensive, and it took a total of 6 bags to do 150 containers. So it went a pretty long, far way. Okay, so when you get your kits over there, you're going to find that you have your little bag that already has all your compost, soil, kelp, all mixed in one, and then you're going to have a bag of your seeds. Just follow the directions, which are very similar to these, and you can put it all together. So literally, you could just cheap buy that soil if you want, or you can buy your products separately. When it comes to getting your soil, you're looking for something that is a soil starter mix. You're not looking for your typical potting gardening soil. I also am very picky about sourcing organic. And I can give you guys more information on that too if you need it. Based upon once you get your sprouts up and going, you can do things like this all-star sprout salad. And what you'll find in that book there is that there's multiple recipes in that book. And when you look at this is extremely simple. All of it is your different sprouts. So it's these 5 sprouts right here. Olive oil, balsamic vinegar, and a little bit of herb salt. That's it. And this was actually tested. Peter Burke actually tested this on his sons. And so literally he tried sprouting every different way. He tried sprouting all different things. And when he hit on this combination, his boys said, "We like it, we'll eat it." And then he started testing it all over the place, and everyone loved it. So the nice thing is he did all the work for us, so we don't have to. I love that. Okay. Any questions on sprouting based upon what I've given you guys so far? Like I said, I really try to do things so that you've got everything right there in your packet, so it'll make it easy for you. Well, in that case, I'm going to move into a well-stocked rotational pantry because I think there's actually going to be a lot more questions on this one. And the most important part of storing food is, why are we storing food? And I want you to slow down for a second and think about the why from God's perspective, from a biblical perspective, not from a, oh my gosh, the world's gonna end! No! Help me, we're gonna starve! That would be storing food out of the enemy's method, out of fear. What happens when we operate out of fear? We make bad decisions. If there's one thing you walk out of this conference with today, it's the assuredness of knowing that God is on the throne, that He empowers each one of us, that His promises are faithful and true, and that He equips us. So in that, let's look at the definition of a biblical storehouse. The biblical storehouse goes back to the story of Joseph. What was Joseph able to do when there was a time of famine? Okay, people. He stored for everyone else, right? Okay, so when we store, yeah, we're absolutely taking care of ourselves. But what are we really doing? We're shining the light. We're serving. We're loving the Lord. But here's the key. Even when you start to do some of this, step one, you go into that prayer closet with the Lord and you ask Him how He wants you to store and what He wants you to store. I'm telling you, I am convinced someone's going to have stored 5,000 containers of floss. And someone else will have stored 5,000 packets of tea, and they're going to be trading. So listen to the Lord. Don't just lean on your own understanding, please. Because some of us are going to get some weird messages, like me. Like, why am I storing this? Okay, I'm sure you're going to use it somewhere, Lord. All right. So that is a core component, is listening to Him and going back to the biblical framework of storehouse. And in Malachi 3:10, I love it so clearly. It says, I will open the windows of heaven and pour out for you a blessing until it overflows. When we store in accordance with how the Lord tells us to store, it becomes an overflowing blessing. Why? So we can bless others. This comes out of love, not out of fear. So what foods do you store? Well, this one's pretty obvious. Don't store anything you're allergic to. Unless you're planning on being a bartering trading item. Foods that you're familiar with and know how to cook. Now, this is going to be a big one where I'm going to challenge you. A lot of what we know how to cook these days is pretty darn limited. We probably need to be working on learning how to cook some more things while we still can. Right? Especially things like lentils. Awesome protein, super inexpensive, and 30-minute quick food. Now with the lentils, please make sure they're organic. We're having issues with the desiccating that's occurring with the crops. Palouse, where I'm from, is the lentil capital of the world. It also happens to be, I would say, probably the glyphosate capital now. They desiccate the lentils just before they harvest. Same thing that they're doing with the wheat. So that they can push the sugars into the head of the crop and get a heavier weighted yield, which is how farmers get paid. They get paid by the weight, not by the nutrient density. That's one of the things that make America healthy again, is trying to change. Foods that are packed in containers that are easy to access when you need them. And that's going to be part of what we're going to talk about today, is how to buy things in bulk and get it into ways that you can actually work with it. Who here was at the preparedness talk that we did? Okay, so just a few of you. So some of you, okay. So it's a really good thing I did put the slide back up here again. This is a study that was done on 1,500 calories a day. I want you to notice the difference between these two studies. In one, we have impaired concentration and comprehension, poor judgment, and they eventually went psychotic. In the other, we had increased feeling of well-being, 1,500 calories. Both are 1,500 calories. One is symptoms of starvation, the other one's not. What's the difference? Protein and fat. One of these is strictly almost all carbs. So when we look at impaired concentration, depressed, anxious, irritable, loss of interest in world events, no libido, food obsessed. I'm sorry, does that sound like America today?
Yeah.
Do you think we might have a chronic nutrition problem?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Loss of muscle mass, cold, lightheaded. Yeah. When we eat protein-dense foods and high-quality fat, we see incredible health. So what do we define has those healthy fats. Oops, let me go back a slide here. It's right there. Beef tallow, pork lard, ghee, virgin coconut oil, coconut cream, olive oil, avocado oil. Avoid the seed oils. No canola, no vegetable, no safflower, no sunflower. You see these in your products? Don't buy them. And the reason is they're creating chronic inflammation in your body that leads to poor concentration, anxiety, depression, irritability. Stick with these. Here's the really cool part. Look at how long you can store those. You don't have to have refrigeration. You can store them without. This is why your rotating pantry is important. Stock extra, keep cycling it through. And we're going to talk about how to do that. You'll also see the proteins there. It is possible to store incredibly high nutrient-dense proteins without having to have refrigeration. The other thing that you'll notice in that list is see things like sardines, kippers. Why do you think those are on there? One, they're extremely easy to store. High protein, and you know what I really love? High in DHA. This is where that brain clarity comes from. Alzheimer's can be detected 20 years before it physically starts showing up in the body in a way that we would recognize as being Alzheimer's or dementia. We are finding that the average omega-3 level in a healthy American soldier these days is literally 1/5 of what it should be. And that's a healthy American soldier. What do we think is happening across our population? What do we think is happening with our children? No wonder they're bouncing all over the place and having ADD, ADHD, and having trouble concentrating. Those poor kids need fat in their brain. Your brain only operates on fat. So here's a little side note about statins. Anyone tries to give you a statin? 1, say no thank you. 2, find another practitioner. A statin is what we use to lower cholesterol. Okay? We use statins to lower cholesterol levels. Well, here's the crazy part from the study in Switzerland. The women who were in the 90s, who were super healthy and vibrant, and who had the best brain acuity, they all had high cholesterol. It's actually protective, guys. Now, we do need to talk about balance. We do need to talk about ratios. I'm not going to get into that here. That's a whole other talk. But do not shy away from fat. And by the way, if you eat fat, do you get fat? No! Yeah, huge misconception. Eat protein, eat fat, you actually drop weight, your hormones balance, and you feel great. Okay? Also the spices, do not forget to store the spices. Salt is worth its weight in gold for multiple reasons. And most of us are not getting enough of the right kind of salts in our diets either. So you want to store quality food. And by the way, kudos and compliments to Azure. They do a great job teaching food storage. So again, I can't take credit for this presentation. A lot of this is coming straight off of Azure. So beans, fats and oils, nuts and seeds, dried fruits, spices, condiments, salts, sweeteners. Your favorite sprouting seeds for storage. And then seeds that you can also put in your garden, they're all there. I don't necessarily think that you need to get your garden seeds from them. That's just one example. I'm kind of partial to finding gardening seeds that do really well in high altitude and in our region. And I also really love the idea of supporting our local producers because we don't have nearly enough here in Colorado. So 10 best foods to always stock in your pantry. Lentils, rice, olive oil, coconut oil, apple cider vinegar, beans, honey, oats, nuts, Himalayan, sea salts, Redmond's. Sea salt is also a good one. By the way, don't just store one type of salt. Store many types of salt because they have different mineral compositions. And tastes. Yeah, so they're a lot of fun to play around with. And by the way, this is my dream pantry setup right here. This is what I'm actually building in my barn dove. Nope, it's not mine yet. It will be soon. I am actually going to build this one. There's a prior slide that was actually mine. Glass jars. These are great for short-term storage. The key with glass jars is you know, unless you're going to be moving through an item quickly, you don't want them in full light. You gotta want to keep things in dark. You don't want to keep it in high heat. You want to keep it in a cooler environment. All of those types of things. But the things that you're using daily, those are great to go ahead and store in glass jars. Okay, buckets and pails. This is my favorite part of the presentation. So like what you see here are Mylar bags, okay? So like if any, and by the way, I've got these here that if people wanted to buy some, they're welcome to buy some and take them home. This is 50 Mylar bags, 50 oxygen absorbers, and that's $35 for these gallon bags right here. So if anyone wants to buy any of these, buy a set, they're able to buy a set and take them home with them today because I have some extra sets.
Pam, since we're so low oxygen in Colorado, are the oxygen absorbers just the same as the need just as high as everybody else?
It's you all treat it all the same. You treat it all the same. I don't take any chances with my food storage because the last thing I want to do is get into a crisis and then find that I don't have adequate food storage. And by the way, guys, if anyone wants to see what's in here for raffle tickets, seriously, you can really stack the deck and help you guys out. So what we do with these is we'll actually take a Mylar bag like you see here, and you'll go ahead and load in your product. So like seed storage, you can actually store your seeds this way, guys. You take and you put your seeds in the Mylar bag. You would actually pour them in. I'm not going to do that here because I want to keep them in here for right now. You pour it in here, you drop in your oxygen concentrator, you go ahead and seal the bag here, and then the really cool part of it is you can take either a straightening iron or you can take your iron like you would iron clothes and you heat seal this shut. There are videos on Azure of doing that process. I didn't want to get into messing with the electricity and everything up here. And then what you do is you literally put the Mylar bags into your bucket and you seal your bucket. Now, you have two ways that you can seal your bucket. You can seal your bucket with a standard lid that we just literally take, and then we would take the hammer and we would just gently mallet it into place. That's now set for long-term food storage, okay? Make sure you label your buckets. What's in there? Yeah, that's kind of important. Or the other thing you can do, if you are wanting to be able to open and close that bucket numerous times, so what I will do is I will go ahead and seal my buckets, and then when I pull my bucket out and I'm going to start using it, I will literally take and just use those items if I'm doing the Mylar storage way. Or let's say I've got my wheat berries in here, or I've got my lentil in here, and I'm going to be going through lots of lentil. And by the way, I actually recommend the 2.5 pound container size, not the 5 pound, not the 5 gallon, sorry, the 2.5 gallon. And the reason is that's actually what I have in my pantry storage, and then this is the lid that's on top. This is called a Gamma Seal lid. Here's the really cool part about the Gamma Seal lid. I can put my Gamma Seal lid on here, and guess what I can do? I can get to my lentils anytime I want. It's sealed. Okay, now granted, it's not sealed for long-term storage, but I'm definitely not going to have to worry about rodents or insects. It is beautifully sealed for that. And so I have 2.5 gallon size with Gamma lids, and they're color-coded and labeled, so I can literally, like, you know, let's say I want to send a grandkid in there. Get a cup of the one that has the red lid, right? And then they're able to help you actually in the kitchen. So that's one of the things there. So when it comes to doing long-term storage, we use the regular lids. We use the oxygen absorbers. And I encourage people to use the Mylar bags and just go ahead and do meal in a bucket, okay? It's just a really convenient way to do it, is do a meal in a bucket. So you throw your salt in there. You can throw your little container of oil in there if you need to. You can throw your legumes in there. You can even dehydrate or freeze dry and have your protein in there. You can put canned protein in there as well, absolutely. But literally it's like, we're in a rush, we've got to bug it out, we're going camping, great, here's my container. And you're set to go. It makes it super, super easy in order to be able to move things off that direction. So this is the easy access meals in a bucket I was telling you about. There's a video there that you can watch. Again, these slides will also be online, and when you go ahead and look at everything there online, you should be able to download all that so you'll have it there as well, okay? And so you can just kind of see how we set all that up. Oops. Rotating stock. I don't know about you, this is the one thing that used to trip me up more than anything in the beginning. It was organization of my stock. So this is those 2.5 gallon size buckets that you're seeing there, neatly labeled. That's one way you can do it. You can also do it by meals. I've got a little bit of both depending upon what I'm doing. But literally putting the item and the dates on there, and then as you pull out a bucket, as you finish something, that's what you put in your order for next month. You just got your little spreadsheet, you throw it on there, and then you put that, you label it, put it in the back, use the one in the front, and you just keep your pantry rotating. So it makes it much easier.
Where do you get the buckets?
I get them off Azure. You can also get, like this one right here, you can get these food grade buckets also at Home Depot or Lowe's. You can even find Gamma Seal lids there. So you can actually buy them in multiple places.
Where do you get your Mylar bags?
Mylar bags I got off of Azure. You can also find them through Amazon and places like that as well. I just ended up, I love how Azure keeps a constant track of everything I'm ordering. So, and then when I need to reorder, so it just helps me with, it ends up becoming part of my organization system. Yeah, I'm not going all over the place to find stuff.
Once you cut the Mylar bag open and it's sealed, can you reseal it with a hair iron again?
You can reseal it. It's not highly recommended to do that. They all have Ziploc seals on them as well. And typically once you break into a Mylar bag, you're just going to use it. Yes?
Does Azure still goes to the gusset bottom?
Yes, these are gusseted bottom. This one is not. Okay, but I have seen them with the gusseted bottom as well, so you have that wider base. Not these particular ones though. So, but literally what I'm going to encourage us to do is to start looking at living out of a rotational pantry, more long term. And buying bulk, guys. And if you don't, you know, if you're just one person or you're just a young couple starting off, pair with another couple and work together, which by the way makes it a lot more fun. That's part of building community, right? So those of you who don't have large families and things, come together, put in a bulk order together, and split it up. And then you can actually do meals in a bucket, you can do meals in a jar, you can can together, and now you're talking about the real heart of what we talked about in the beginning. You're being a blessing to each other, you're building community, and you're continuing to move forward. So coming back to where we were, okay, come on. There we go. Medicine pantry. This is just a suggested idea of the types of things you can get off of for your medicine pantry. There are many different ways to do a medicine pantry. I love the idea of doing medicinal herbs, but that is an entire different skill set that takes some training to do, so I'm not going to encourage you to do that right off the bat, unless it's something that the Lord is speaking to your heart to do. But these are all items that we recommend that go into a traditional medicine type pantry. That QR code that's on there will allow you to apply for access to my full script where all of these things are. I'm going to be doing a lot more on medicine pantries coming up here in the near future. Just to give you an example of how a medicine pantry is helpful, most of you can't tell my foot looks like it's normal right now. 3 days ago, there was a red line that was up to here on my foot. If I had gone to the emergency room, they would have diagnosed it as blood poisoning. I evidently, in all of I love to be barefoot a lot outside. I evidently got into something. My immune system was down enough to where it took hold, and I was starting to develop an issue. Okay? In under 3 days, thanks to my medicine pantry, using a combination of homeopathy, Chinese herbs, and just bumping up on my immune system protocols, it is completely gone. Now, what would that have cost me if I had gone to the emergency department? Yeah, it would have cost more than $700 for sure just to walk through the door. What would have happened to my gut microbiome? They would have given me an antibiotic. So what would have happened if I had taken that antibiotic? Would my foot issue have gone away? Yeah, it probably would have. But it's a high likelihood, based upon what we see from the research now, that within 12 weeks I would have been sick again. Instead, I'm going to tell you, if I spent $10 on fixing this foot, that would be a really generous, mass overestimation. Have the things in your pantry so you can deal with these things at home easily. And I'm going to be doing a lot more teaching on that coming up. I promise, guys. I got to get to it. I'm going to be starting a class in January. It's going to run January through March. It's a 10-week class. It's a 7-step process to reestablish metabolic health. For those who are needing to lose weight, it is possible to lose up to 40 pounds doing this process. For those who don't need to lose weight, you won't lose weight, your energy levels will just come up and your brain clarity will improve. Okay, I know it sounds crazy, it's actually the same techniques, guys, with just some minor changes. So anyone who wants more information on that, we're also going to do the labs. There's the cost payments on it. Anyone who's interested, you can just put your name down for interest. I'll be sending out some specific emails on that going forward. And with that, I think we are done.